I was like, oh, I'm gonna take today off, you know, like it looks nice, I can do all my oil changes, and then, so I put it in, like 5 minutes later, I get the alert, winter storm advisory tomorrow, I'm like, I just can't win, and then it wasn't half bad today, you know, I was able to do all the stuff I needed to do, so.
The advisory was for blowing snow, but everything melted, after
Well,
it's gonna blow.
and once it freezes again, it'll have a nice crust on it, it's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, that's the treat about it, whatever we got it today, is that crust.
Oh, we're having some computer difficulties.
That's always nice, they're great when they work.
Well, it's either gonna work or not, so if you wanna go ahead and get started.
Okay, I agree with that. All right, we'll call the meeting to order with a roll call.
Huber.
Here.
Loest.
Here.
Kettering.
Here.
Hummel.
Here.
O'Hara.
Here.
Welsh.
Here.
Clark.
Here. Okay, we've had a chance to review the minutes from our previous meeting. Does anyone have a motion on those minutes?
I'll move to approve.
So that is our number 2
Yeah,
person?
just answer it.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel.
Hi.
We,
Yeah. Hey, this is Bill from Yankton County Planning. Teams isn't working, so we're just gonna have you sit tight until your, application is up, okay?
Okay, great. I'm on the phone and I will close out of Teams, or you guys expect it to come up working?
we don't know, so you can just stay on the phone, and then when we address your plat, then you can speak up, okay?
He's got the result,
Okay,
or the
great.
CUP.
Thank you.
Or the CUP, sorry. Anyway,
Is there a motion?
No.
no motion yet.
Okay. Oh, move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Oh, very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so do we have any items that we want to add to tonight's agenda?
No, but I think we're gonna remove one.
Okay.
The Teason plat, they asked to be moved to another one, so we're just gonna remove them from the agenda.
Okay. So with that being said, do you have an approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved. Loest.
Second, Huber.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's go through and do our conflict of interest declarations.
Loest, none.
Kettering, none.
Welsh, none. I will recuse myself on the phosphorus zone because it's close to my house.
Okay. Hummel, none.
O'Hara, none.
Huber, none. Clark, none.
Okay. Wait till 7:05.
Give me a second here. How close are you to the house?
I could throw a baseball that far. Still.
Well, I'm probably a half a mile from my house, or that place.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I couldn't throw a baseball that far.
I don't really think either of you have a conflict.
Hmm?
I don't really think either of you have a conflict.
You don't?
No.
Well, then I won't worry about it. I won't recuse myself then. I'm trying to be Caesar's wife here.
I appreciate it. Once you look at it, you'll
Okay.
know. Still not working.
Does the cord on the right side of the podium have anything to do with it?
Shouldn't.
No.
It's just a backup drive. It was up once earlier. I don't know what happened in between.
It looks like it's up now, it says blank right here.
Yeah, but it won't
Yeah,
project.
It's communicating somehow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
HDMI in.
Boom.
That's why. I knew there was a reason we accepted your
There we go.
application.
Yeah.
It wasn't because it was the only one, it was, you know,
Tim gets an A for the day.
your strong IT background, we appreciate
Now,
that.
boy, you got that right.
All right, seeing that it is 7:05, we can start with the FOSS plat,
Rezone.
or rezone, sorry, everyone.
Applicant is requesting to rezone a parcel that is dual zoned. Applicant wishes to rezone a parcel that is dual zoned lakeside commercial and moderate density residential to lakeside commercial per Article 18, Section 1803, Article 20, Section 2003. Said property is legally described as Lot G, Fishing Hole Number 2, in Section 17, Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th PM. Yankton County, South Dakota, E911 address is 31117 Quarry Drive, Yankton. So we are talking about this parcel here, and you can see how there's a strip through there that is showing moderate density residential. We are just going to eliminate the moderate density residential so it matches everything else.
Oh.
Okay. Do you have any public comment on this rezone? Seeing none. Okay. Commission discussion?
So there's no home or anything.
Yeah, there is
There.
a storage building here, there's a home here.
Okay, so move your little finger there.
See closer?
There you go.
Yeah.
Use that pointer. Which one's the home?
Right here.
Okay, so that's the home. Okay.
And just so you're aware, the plat then is going to be, they're going to survey off this so they can sell it. That's what the plat will be
Oh.
eventually.
Oh, the description said that it was selling something to the east of the house, but it is
Yeah.
actually. Okay, now I understand, right, okay.
So it's just clearing things up and making it conform.
No easements
No,
in between the yellow and the pink?
no,
So the yellow is the property line
yes,
and the pink is just our overlay?
yes. Well, and that's where it's a gray area. We don't know if it was, back when they did it, it was a beacon mistake, or it was, when they did the original zoning, it was just bad drawing. This way we clarify it and it's all one.
Property line.
So this going to commercial makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's being used as lakeside commercial, part of it is, so, and the house has been there forever. So yes, it makes the most sense for that area.
Any further discussion?
Does this include the area down below that they've cleared off?
That's already zoned lakeside commercial.
Okay,
Yeah, so this is the old quarry building.
right.
This is where you're referring to. It's all lakeside commercial anyway, except for this little strip,
Okay.
so.
So the pink will jog or push proud north?
Yep, the pink will stop at this property line.
Okay.
Should we look at doing more of the I mean, the property next to it has the same issue, or do you wait for the owner to?
Wait for the owner, but I don't really foresee anything affecting that.
Okay.
Do you want me to walk through the outline here?
Yeah, we can do the outline.
Okay. So all documents required for the application were received, and that's a yes. Number 2 on the list, individual petitioner provides a completed amendment or change in zone request. Said request must clearly state specific conditions and circumstances exist which require the land to be rezoned. The special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, and granting of the amendment or change will not confer upon the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other land, structure, or buildings in the area. My opinion, everything looks pretty clean there. Everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Okay, number 3, the notice of the hearing was given. A public hearing was held, which is this. Any party may appear in person, or agent or attorney. Folks were given the opportunity to comment, and no comment was made. Planning Commission shall make the findings that the requirements of this section have been met by the applicant, including reasons set forth in the application justify a recommendation to approve. Seems reasonable just to align it with the property line. The amendment or change in zone will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, and that it will if their future use is later in our meeting. A recommendation to grant the amendment or change in zone will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this ordinance, and a recommendation of approval will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare as presented and testified. And since, what would you say, 90% of the land is already in the zone it's going to become, it doesn't seem like there should be any reason not to approve. Before any amendment or petition for rezoning is recommended, Planning Commission shall make written findings that we are in compliance with the comprehensive plan, specific rules governing land uses, zoning district regulations, and satisfactory provision and arrangement has been made concerning the following where applicable. Certificate of compliance with all ordinances, etc., ingress and egress to the property, off right-of-way parking, refuse and service areas, utilities with reference to the location's availability, screening and buffering, signs, required yards, general compatibility with adjacent properties. And all of those are already in place.
Yeah.
We already have access to the property, they're not requesting signs, etc. So, unless anybody sees any red flags,
I'd move approval.
Second, Clark.
Okay, roll call.
Huber,
Yes.
Loest,
yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yes.
O'Hara,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes. I will move to the CUP.
Nesher's Nest LLC, conditional use permit. Applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to use their property as an Airbnb in a moderate density residential district, R2 per Article 7, 709, Article 18, Section 1805, and Article 19, Section 1905. Said property is legally described as Kaiser Edition in the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter, Section 7, Township 93, North Range 56 west of the 5th PM, Yankton County, South Dakota. E911 address is 43454 310th Street. Let me pull that up for you. Let's do it this way. And the address. So, just for reference, this is 435th. Down at the bottom of 435th, this is the storage facility right at the top of the hill. So there, this is Kaiser Road. They are back tucked in here. They have about 13 acres. And the house on the corner,
And their access is off 434.
right here, 310. They come in here and then they have a long drive.
But- Yeah,
They have
but
to come off
310 isn't a through road,
They have to
right?
come in off of 50 on 430, right?
434.
434 off
And
of
then
50
310.
and then in.
Gotcha. You bumped something?
No, I didn't.
No?
It's just, oh yeah, that card. That's it. Did it shut off on me?
It's coming. Give us some time here.
Now it's gotta wake back up.
Tim?
IT Tim, please?
Yeah, my skills are all used up for the night.
Dang. All right.
You're battery's low.
Yeah. Well, that comes up. Does the commission have any other questions regarding the CUP?
And we have Joel on the phone,
And we
who's
have-
the applicant.
And the applicant is on the phone, so we can ask him of the questions.
There is.
So yeah, they have to come down off of 434, take 310, which dead ends here, and they have an access easement and a long driveway. So they're pretty well secluded.
And why is it a CUP?
So Airbnb is a CUP in moderate density. Airbnb, or bed and breakfast, this fits under that 709 unlisted, but it's similar to a bed and breakfast. But in a moderate density residential, you need a CUP for any kind of short-term rental, bed and breakfast type thing.
Where does it say that in the ordinance?
Well, what we've always gone by before is this Article 7, moderate density 709 is unlisted classified uses.
Mhm.
And we've always, because it's very similar to a bed and breakfast, we've always used the 709 related to the bed and breakfast.
So do we, how many, because I can count on maybe one hand how many CUPs we have for these, and how many are really operating out there.
A lot.
Well, and that's my frustration, is, you know, these kind folks are coming in and trying to be honest about it, and paying, what is it, $500?
No, for 50. CUP is 300.
300 bucks to come in and do it right, and how many people out there aren't? Because they look at the ordinance, they say, well, I'm not a bed and breakfast.
Well, they just don't
so-
look.
So I'm just gonna do this. I mean, are we gonna start going out to Airbnb and search Yankton County and send a letter to all of them, saying you all need CUPs too?
Well, that's for the
I mean-
commission to
Yeah,
decide.
yeah, if the
Yeah.
commission apprises the enforcement piece of the ordinance, then, of course, then the county employees enforce the ordinance, but,
Yeah,
So the way, you know, the CUP listings are, if it's not a permitted use, then it's a conditional use, basically. If it matches something else, that's already a CUP.
it's allowed.
Section 707
Yeah.
says bed and breakfast,
Yeah,
conditional use.
There have been some discussion on what we're gonna do with these in the future, and that's one of the conversations that will come up again, depending on what you decide to do with it. But I know they've been looking at various things about, you know, whether they should get the extra % owner occupied.
Right.
What are they
that's the
doing?
next
You
thing.
know, how much time are they really spending in some of these places? All those things have to be discussed, and so like Bill said, the only way we could address it is if people were trying to do the right thing and contact us. This is the way we've been running it through, so the neighbors have some say in the process. We've had a few times now where there's been issues with the occupants, you know, that are staying at these places. Neighbors all go, well, I never had a chance to talk about these things, bringing 5 dogs and having 25 people there and everything else. And so there are concerns, at least this way they can speak on it, where the other way they can't. And so, yeah, that'll be an ongoing conversation, but we'll definitely be talking about that more.
How big's the property?
13 acres, 13.2.
And so the CUP is needed whether it's a bed and breakfast or a short-term rental? Or is it
So-
one versus the other?
Well, bed and breakfast is listed as a CUP, but when the ordinance was written, a bed and breakfast, Airbnbs didn't exist.
Okay.
And so now, yeah, and so now they're a big thing, and it says in the ordinance, if it's related to a CUP listed, it would be a 709, unlisted classification. And so because it's a short-term rental like a bed and breakfast, it's a CUP.
And I'm surprised that that's even a CUP, to short-term rental your house on 13 acres.
Well, the acres, there's a lot of moderate density that's 1 acre.
We've had other areas where it would adversely affect if it was not managed well. So that's why the conditional uses process is being used currently, is that way, whether I'm a, whatever, Mr. Welch over here and I live right next door to Sam's Airbnb, I at least now know some assurance that it went through the process, this was communicated, this was transparent, that it could be revoked if the sheriff gets called out there over and over again because whoever we're renting to is, yes, this particular issue, yeah, 13 acres, but it's just because of how it's zoned, it's the class of what it's zoned in, and
The
So
13
it's all about the zoning.
Yes, but in this situation, having 13 acres
Yeah,
bodes well for that because they've got a big buffer.
yeah, the nearest,
It-
the
it's
nearest
a-
structure is quite a ways away,
Yeah,
I
it's the
mean, there's.
potential impact, which is minimal.
Yeah, yeah, but we have to treat all moderate density the
Yep.
same, whether it's 1 acre or 13 acres.
Because
So-
technically, they could split it into 13 lots.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Future, if they say this thing takes off, they can just start stripping that land but each one would be a conditional use permit,
Yeah.
which would let the community, neighboring property owners have a say, so. Again, we do, remind everyone, we do have the applicant on the phone in case we do wanna ask any questions. If we're not open for any questions with the applicant, we can open for public comment.
So public notice was sent out to all the neighbors, and are there any neighbors here tonight?
No.
Seeing none from the crowd.
One of their neighbors actually hung the sign for them.
Say again?
One of the neighbors actually hung their zoning notification sign for them, so I don't think they're objecting.
Okay, I'll open it for a formal public comment. Seeing none, closed. Any further discussion from the commission, or do we have a move?
What's the specific intent of the owner to operate the house?
Joel, the question from Commissioner Clark is the intent, are you gonna do a year-round Airbnb? You're just gonna see how the bookings are? Are you and your wife, family just moving out on the weekends it's booked? Or are you guys actually taking up another occupancy while you do the Airbnb is kind of the question from Commissioner Clark.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Commissioner Clark. My name's Joel, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak to you all. Basically, we've been coming back to the area for the last 15 years. We lived in that property for the last 1 year, and I'm a military reservist, and therefore a lot of my duties are out of the state. And so our plan right now is to do seasonal or half-year Airbnb rentals as we're out of state for my reserve work, and then of course not do that while we're in the state. That's the current plan, but of course that's subject to modification depending on life events, etc. Thank you.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Anything else?
You want me to walk through the list?
I was gonna do that next,
Oh.
but if you want to.
No, no.
I even have it up on my
I
phone this
definitely-
time, Commissioner Loest. Alright. Okay, so we're gonna go through the condition findings of fact. Are the requirements of section 1723 met? Yes. Are the requirements of section 1729 met? So are all fees paid at the time of the application? Correct, yes. Did you specifically cite in the application the section of the ordinance which the conditional use is sought and state the grounds of which it is requested? We do state that per Article 7, Section 709, we went into great length on why that fits the modern density residential district. Was notice of public hearing given per Section 1803? It was mailed and published. We have the public hearing tonight. I like that Commissioner Lowe said that. I think that sounds cool. We're having it right now, so here it is. So we, as the Plan Commission, we can grant the conditional use. We can grant it with conditions, or we can deny the conditional use. Get back to that later. Planning Commission must make written findings certifying compliance with specific rules, including ingress and egress to proposed structures thereon, with particular reference to automotive and pedestrian safety, convenience, traffic flow and control, and access in case of fire or catastrophe. So we talked about that. We know what roads they will be using coming in and out. In fact, a seasonal Airbnb will probably use those roads less than a homeowner would, so you can feel good about that. Off right-of-way parking and loading area where required, with particular attention to items A above, economic noise, glare, or odor of the conditional use and adjoining properties in the district. Refuse and service areas, don't really apply. Utilities with reference to locations. Screening and bufferance with reference to type, dimensions, and character. There are 13 acres and they are a quarter-mile drive from the property that has a structure on it. Required yards and other open spaces, already there. General compatibility with adjacent property within the district. So, as discussed, we feel like that's a use that is being used by people in our lake area. Whether or not they came through the CUP process is a topic for a different conversation. So now, at the leisure of the commission, we get to decide if we are granting the conditional use, granting it with conditions, or denying the conditional use.
I know in previous applications for these, they've been in closer neighborhoods, and we have entertained limits to traffic, cars parked in places, etc. I don't know if we did anything for dogs or anything like that. This one's pretty unique, since it's out in the middle of I don't want to say nowhere. I live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But it is secluded for sure. So the risk of having neighbors who complain is certainly less.
Yeah.
So does anybody feel we need to put any limits on anything?
Do we clearly define short-term rental? I guess I didn't look. So is it less than 14 days? Is it
The standard is less than 30 days.
less than 30
Yeah,
days?
that's kind of the nationwide standard for short
Okay.
term. We can change that when we address the ordinance,
Yeah.
but that's pretty standard.
That'd be the only thing is, say Highway 52 goes through a massive construction project and then, construction crew says, oh, this will be a cool place to bunk up on or whatever, then maybe we would have an issue, right? I think Airbnb has some limits too in theirs if they're using that particular platform, so. Again, at the will of the commission, what do we want to do?
Yeah, I don't see any issue at all.
I don't either. Okay?
I mean, he may have an issue actually renting it, as much as he'd like, so.
I'll make a motion,
Second.
What are you making a motion? What are we doing with the motion, Nick?
passing the conditional use permit.
So we're gonna grant the conditional use permit. Commissioner Clark, you got that seconded?
Yep.
Okay, roll call.
Hubert,
Yes.
Loest,
Yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yep.
O'Hara,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Joel, don't hang up yet.
Joel, don't hang up yet.
Can you give me a call the next day or two and I'll explain the next step in the process?
Yes, is this Bill?
Yes, sorry. Yep,
Yes, okay,
all right,
will do.
thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, thank you, ladies,
Thank you for your
Bye-bye.
service.
Yes.
thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay.
So again, this is the original property from the rezone. This is the plat. They're basically surveying off the east part of it. So it come
Dipping.
down like this and over and down. So they can sell this storage facility. storage facility sits right here.
Is that the next one?
Meets all the minimum yard requirements.
So that's creating track A.
Yes.
Can you pull up the map one more time, Bill?
So it's gonna come down here, follow this line, go over here, and then go down. So basically just dividing it right here.
So how does that affect access for,
They can use.
For them,
yeah,
it shows on the plat here, they have an access easement right here.
I see.
And then the,
I was worried about remaining portion of lot G or
Yeah.
whatever, but now that seeing that Quarry Road runs up into it, that's
they-
fine.
yeah,
Yeah,
their access is through here.
it's from the behind.
Yep. Cool.
So tract A includes half of the access easement,
Yes,
okay? And lot E retains the other portion of the easement. So there's like a big, I want to say parking lot there for,
yep. Used to be a big restaurant,
okay. Yeah, I've never,
good restaurant.
Yeah,
I was never there, it was always closed.
my dad let us get Roy Rogers when we went there as kids or whatever. My sister had Shirley Temples. Those were the days. It was a big deal.
Big deal, isn't it?
I remember it 25 years later.
Okay.
Cool. Do we have any public comment? They're waiting for showtime. They're waiting for development. Commissioners,
Move approval of the plat, Loest.
Second, Kettering.
roll call.
Huber,
Yes.
Loest,
Yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yep.
O'Hara,
Yep.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
South Dakota.
This is in the city. Need building track 5. So it is basically this piece right here.
Including the Mead building?
This looks like, this building is, I think building track 1 is its own. So yes, it would include the Mead building. Or no, I'm sorry,
No.
Mead building is cut out, right?
No, yeah. Okay.
But anything else that's in there.
So this is in the extended
ETJ,
ETJ.
yes.
It's not really in the city.
No, city limits end right
Yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
City's already approved it. Sorry.
So move. Huber.
I think you have to ask for public comment, right? Everyone here looking to want to talk about the Mead plat? Seeing none. Okay. Commissioner discussion.
So move, Huber.
Second Loest.
Okay, roll call.
Huber,
Yes.
Loest,
Yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yes.
O'Hara,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes. Highland?
Oh, come on. So, I got the right legal. Section 33. Right here. So we did a plat a while back, a homestead plat on this. Somebody wants to buy it, so they're just expanding the amount of land around it, increasing it to 9.782 acres.
So earlier it was approved because it was a farmstead, and now they're just gonna increase the acreage.
Correct. Make it closer to conforming.
Yeah, closer to conforming.
Well, technically, it's conforming now
Right.
because of the,
Yeah.
so we don't want to say it's non-conforming. So
Closer
we're
to the
just-
10 acres is what I
It's
meant.
making it bigger, and on the west side of the property, there is a 20-foot access easement to get to down. Correct? On the west, yeah, so go back to, zoom in a little bit there. Okay. So the plat, or the property to the west and the property to the east of this are not owned by the same people then, which is why that access has to be there. Okay,
Correct.
gotcha. Alrighty.
Do you have any public comment on the plat? Seeing none? Commissioner discussion?
Move approval, Loest.
Second, Kettering.
Roll call?
Huber,
Yes.
Loest,
Yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yes.
O'Hara,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
We're making up for those 15-minute meetings we had a couple months.
There's gonna be a ton of signatures afterwards too.
Yeah, Sam.
Aren't you glad you're not in the seat right now?
You're busy, buddy.
When I saw this agenda, I thought to myself, oh my
You'll
gosh.
be here for an hour.
Yep.
So this is all one parcel. They are taking lots 6 out of this parcel, so that would be approximately right here. So there'll be a part of the parcel left here and the rest of the parcel left here of the parent parcel. We're just talking about 2.75 acres towards the south end.
Pulling 275 out.
Yes, of the whole. Yep.
And the minimum would be 1?
Yes.
Do we have any public comment on the replat? Seeing none, commissioner discussion?
Where's the access thing would be?
Welcome Drive, right here.
Oh,
Doesn't show it here, but it goes all the way up.
okay.
I'll move to approve.
Second, Clark.
Roll call?
Huber,
Yes.
Loest,
Yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yes.
O'Hara,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
We're doing some more man caves. They're building another piece, another structure here. Separating them for individual sale.
And C1 through 12 are all individual lots now?
Well, they don't own the land, they're talking about these.
Well, you own the structure.
Either one.
Yeah, so they only own basically the inside of the building.
Okay.
So they bought the structure, the land still is owned by the original developers.
It's like a condo,
Okay.
and the same is gonna be true down here for the C. I'm
Yes.
assuming that was A, B, and C.
Yep.
They're bigger.
Yes. I think there's been a demand for a little more room. People have more junk.
Always more toys.
Show us on the map where they are in 21, please.
So these are the two that are already there. This is where the
Zoom out just a smidgen so we can see 81, or 52.
yeah. Here's 52. This is scooters, or not scooters,
Mudslingers.
mudslingers, coffee. So they already have two structures up.
And it's going right along a campground,
Yes. Yeah.
so,
And these are storage sheds, not occupied
They,
dwellings?
yeah, they can buy them or rent them. They can't occupy them.
you're
by
not
any
supposed to
means.
live there.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yep.
It's a storage shed.
We'll run a
There's-
business out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think you can get bathrooms in the floor plan? if
I think they have a
remember right?
bathroom and a sink,
Yeah,
because
they have a-
they assume some people are gonna use them for their business and they're gonna be out there for a while, but they cannot occupy it.
Yeah,
Working on their 1955 Willys truck.
there you go. I'm not allowed to take my Jeep out to one of those, just,
Is this then the ETJ as well?
No, this is county. It's owned Lakeside Commercial.
Was the campground notified?
Everybody within 1,320 feet was sent a letter.
okay. Do we have anyone here to talk about it from the public? Seeing none? Okay.
I'm gonna correct myself. The CUP, when this was all approved, they were notified. We don't notify for simple plats.
Yeah.
But they were aware this was going to be built.
Yeah. Okay,
Move approval, Loest.
Second, O'Hara.
roll call.
Huber,
Yes.
Loest,
Yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yes.
O'Hara,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
We removed the Teason plat. So we will go to the Slowey plat.
One more, I swear, everybody.
What about the Whitetail Run one?
That's the one we just did.
No, that was,
Yeah.
yeah, that was one we just did.
Yeah,
Bittersweet
Yeah,
is the one we're still.
yeah, that's the one we just did.
So, Mr. Slowey owns all of this property. He is parceling off where the construction business is. And then going to do something with the rest of it. So this is strictly for taking this piece out of the hole.
Hence, there's a access along the north, what will be the north edge.
Yeah.
That's a right of way.
This is, it's outside the ETJ, but it's within the ETJ plating process. So the city required them to put that easement in. Normally, they would ask them to put one here too, but
On the
Because it-
east side you're talking?
Yeah, because it butts up to Highway 50. If they did that, it would have to go through a long DOT process.
Yeah.
So they said, we're just not gonna do that now, and if we need to later, we'll do that.
So the city's already approved this?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have anyone from the public comments about this plat? Seeing none, commissioner discussion.
Move approval, Loest.
Second, Huber?
Roll call.
Huber,
Yes.
Loest,
Yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yes.
O'Hara,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Okay. Now that we completed that, we can move on to our 720 item, discussion of creating county development. Oh, this is my rodeo, I guess. All right. So last 2 months, we've been talking about, from a directive from the county commission, we've been discussing how can we drive development within our county. We're at the point now where action needs to occur, come, January, February. We need to define the scope of what the task force will focus on, who will be a part of it, and just kind of some general comments and concerns as we go into a process of looking at how the planning commission at the county level can help drive development through our strengths and weaknesses. I know last month I did tell each one of us to kind of reach out to somebody we thought was pertinent in development, and I'll be honest, I did not send my email to the people until yesterday, so if that happened to you as well, the month went by quickly, that's okay, but from a commission standpoint, did anyone get some feedback from some people or anything that they would care to share? Okay, seeing none.
I've done quite a bit of research on one thing, and I happen to know people that are involved in the artificial intelligence development business, both on the hardware side, the software side, and the energy side. And as I've looked at it, it would be a very tough fit for Yankton County. And the reason I say that is that the current designs obviously use a tremendous amount of power, and the way they're being powered now is using a small nuclear reactor, fission. And however, there are some prototype models being developed that use nuclear fusion. It appears to me that it's at least 3 years away to have even a prototype breadboard model with using fusion as its power source. When that happens, 3 to 5 years, nuclear fusion has been 5 years away for the last 30 years. And however, I think at this point there are at least 3 models that work. The issue has to do with scaling it up and using it to power artificial intelligence facility is a very good use, because you don't have to get giant with it.
Do we feel like at the community level that Yankton County members are in favor of emerging technologies, or are we adverse to them? I think that's
a good question.
The long and short of it is I'm not a nuclear physicist or anything like that, but from what my short time here tells me is that our constituents are not pro emerging technologies.
You're
They are pro
yeah.
safe, efficient, small growth, and so I do think we want to include that into our scope, because I do know from a national level, AI infrastructure, everything that is being pushed, and communities are double downing on it. But from my short time here, every time it's involved emerging technology, whether solar, wind, or anything along that sorts, power transmission lines, pipelines, things like that, our community has taken the stance of, we don't want to be the guinea pigs. So I did get some voice. I did talk to Brad Beese, Community Development Director for the city of Yankton. He was sad he could not be here tonight, and he will surely join the task force and subsequent meetings. His logic is like a lot of us has talked, we need to have smart growth, so that way the infrastructure can grow in stages. Obviously, if we leapfrog growth, then somebody's hell is gonna get the bill for that infrastructure leg that may not get used with the gap, versus if we grow in phases and we tie it to, and not just the city of Yankton's comprehensive plan, but even the small townships in our area, as long as we're tying that growth and doing so smart. And we've talked a lot about infrastructure. I mean, I know Mike knows a lot about natural gas and some of the shortages that we have here. But that's just something he wanted us to make sure we pressed into the discussion, was strategic growth so that infrastructure needs can be met and somebody's not on the foot in that bill unnecessarily, I suppose, because obviously that's going to limit growth. So.
Yeah. To finish that thought, you're right. We are not ready for that, and knowing that is important. And so I think part of what we do here is we decide what we do want, and we decide what we don't want. And if we do want something, then we decide how we want to regulate it. The bottom line is that these AI centers produce a lot of construction jobs, but in the end, you're looking at about 100 jobs. However, tremendous tax revenue, tremendous, huge. We're talking about facilities that are, pushing $1 billion in valuation.
Well, my
So-
brother works for a large construction company. They're bidding half of an AI facility in Texas, and their half is 13 billion.
There you go. So
So,
we're talking massive money. If we were going to do something like that, it seems to me that we would have to create an industrial park of some kind, so that we know where that kind of thing should go and where it should not go. It shouldn't just be random where somebody shows up here like like their fairy godmother and decides that they want to tell us that they're going to put it right outside Utica on 2 sections of land. We should be the ones to decide where it goes, if it goes anywhere. And that's the reason I brought it up.
We do have some faces in the crowd that came to share their thoughts and inputs on development, so I will open it to public comment as to specifically whether you've helped a development occur, you've been part of a development, kind of what your take is on the county. Were we there to help you? Was our ordinances friendly to navigate? Was the process fair and equitable? What do you see some strengths are of our community? This is pretty early in the infancy of this or whatever. We're trying to grow this idea. So whatever you bring to the table will be considered for us to move forward, whether talking about AI or another retail center, right? Like, we just need to know what we've done right, what we've done wrong, how are we doing? So if anyone from the public would like to come up and speak about that, I'm more than open. Please introduce yourself for the people who are not in the room.
Hi, my name's Matt Evans, from here in Yankton. I actually live in the county out by the lake. I think the biggest thing that I've seen in like other counties is kind of like what you said, making it easy to develop. Most of the time that comes with lower restrictions, basically. Like when I built in the city, it was the attitude that I got when I bought the mall was, you know, we're going to help you from the city. It's like, you know, we were going to do the best we can to help you navigate the best way to do it, basically. It wasn't like, say there was something that we couldn't do, you know, whether it was part of ordinance or whatever. It was, okay, so we can't do it this way, but here's how we can do it. You know, I think that attitude of knowing there's a way, and if there isn't for some reason, like, you know, sometimes like the mall, one unique thing was like the allotted amount of signage, okay? So you would think, you know, based on frontage, the mall would have quite a bit of allotment to signage. Well, you know, maybe 40 years ago, but now that they sold their frontage to O'Reilly's and First Dakota and Frying Pan and the hotel, there's not that much there. So that formula, even though the mall is on 21 acres, did not work so well. So like that's one thing that we're gonna have to navigate to make sure that the stores have plenty of room to have good signs, basically. Stuff like that. I think it's more about how you look at things, really. I know, you know, not everybody, like I have RV parks too, right? Not everybody likes RV parks, but one of the things is you have to look at the money that it brings to town also. Almost 100% of the people at these RV parks are from out of town. So, you know, imagine Yankton County as a bucket of cash, you know, and it's nice to keep that cash in the same bucket and not go somewhere else and spend it. But it's really nice when there's other people bringing cash from their buckets and putting it in ours, whether it's the city or the county. So it helps, you know, small businesses. You know, all the money that I get, I pay local guys like LaCroix Construction and whoever else to keep the money in Yankton, so that helps. I think as far as like development with houses and stuff like that, I don't know exactly how it works with the county. I know the city has acquired properties before and then sold them to somebody based on the tax revenue that they bring in. So, you know, imagine, and I'm not necessarily saying the county buys this, but say somebody buys a piece of property and those lots are extremely cheaper than the ones in town or a little bit cheaper. That's going to help development. You know, like with Riverside Acres, that's always been a development. And there's, I don't know how many houses get built a year, but it keeps growing every single year. I think those lots out there are up to like 50 grand, 55 grand an acre, something like that. I think if there is a development, it's gonna be out that way, just because of the water. It's always grown that way. I mean, it's all about, like if it was me developing it, it would be, it's all about educating yourself and knowing the loopholes and the shortcuts to get it done, basically. Is one question I do have as far, can you still hear me? As far as like county tax revenue, does that mainly come from like property tax, or like what is the actual revenue of the county that you guys really count on?
What, Don? He's the budget master.
Well, basically, all the property tax flows through the county to the state, and then the state allocates back what you have to spend in these different areas,
Okay.
and schools and so forth.
Okay.
We end up with maybe 20%, 28% of the total property tax. And then we have license plate taxes that bring in, what, 400,000 bucks? But as you probably are aware, our budget this year is probably about $3.5 million short of being able to, and fortunately we have some carryover funds that will get us through 1 year, but it ain't gonna get us through a whole lot of years. That's why we need economic development.
Okay. Is any certain development, like I know one thing like RV parks, right? Property taxes for RV parks aren't, like, say it's per acre or whatever, right? So say it's a 10-acre RV park, you know, say it's, I don't know, $5,000, something like that for an RV park, versus a house, like you could fit 10 houses on 10 acres, that's probably more like 10,000 or whatever.
It'd be a great deal if every one of those RV spots would had a house on it.
Yeah. So like it's,
But-
I think
but
it's
they
kind of
don't.
a balance,
They
but
don't, and
yeah.
I think what you're getting at is, so, I think, and someone can correct me, or this can be whatever. So, the tax structure in South Dakota was on an initiative measure in like 1994, 1995. It's pretty much has remained fairly unchanged, that formula, since then. And according to all the other states, we have a really good tax formula. Typically, when anything goes to state legislator to change the property tax formula and change sales tax in lieu of, it ends up dying because we basically end up burdening the low-income families. From a fairness and equity, I think South Dakota's initiative measure from 1994, 1995, whatever, set the taxes, has always seemed to be a decent formula. You know, other states, when you run it out, there's definitely some demographics that are adversely affected by that formula, and there's definitely some demographics who, you know, definitely benefit from that formula. But yeah, to your point, things are taxed and assessed at different valuations, and then also with the valuations is a different tax rate, and that's what we talked about. I think Commissioner Clark stated it, you know, owner occupant status versus doing a short-term rental or commercial versus doing a residential, or my whole gripe always is the disparagence between like egg, you know, $1 million worth of egg land gets taxed at this rate, and a home that's worth $250,000 in the county gets taxed at this rate. What can you do to level that out?
So I just want to clarify, the county's levy is flat
Yeah.
across, no matter what you own, everybody pays the same levy. It's the schools that have
Yeah.
the varied levy.
Oh,
Correct. Sorry.
So I just wanted to make sure, because when you say that, the county's
Yes.
is flat, so
Per
this year.
dollar evaluation.
okay.
That's one of
So
our
for-
constraints.
And for 2026, and Don can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the county's portion is about 9 million
Yes.
in taxes. And your revenue estimates was 18 to 20?
No.
So
way
about
less, way
half,
less.
well,
14.
okay.
So what would you say like the main revenue
And
is?
something else before we get out away from this.
Yeah.
When the state decides they wanna, do a new program or do something, we have no say in it. They say you hire interpreters for, aliens that are in the court system. We paid, what, $350,000 last year or the year before for that? Probably it'd get higher.
Yeah.
We don't have any control over that.
So some of it, which is, we wanna make sure we keep this conversation to things we can control. So, we as Yankton County aren't gonna march up to Pier, besides to look at their cool trees, right? But we're not gonna march up to Pier and say, hey, we can't make the formula work, we need it changed, cause there's other states who benefit very well from this formula. There's other counties that benefit very well
Why
from
don't
this
you send me
formula.
a list of those? I'd like to see them.
There's a reason that representatives vote it down every time the
I'd like to
reform
see 'em.
comes. But moral of the story is, we are in the bubble created, or the box created for by the state. They're telling us what we can take in, so to speak. We have marginal control of how we assess value in property and things like that. They're telling us what programs are statutory, or we're required by law to provide. And that list keeps getting longer, but they have never taken any burden off the county by changing the formula, allowing us to bring in more funds. So with the 723 square miles, no?
Close, I forgot.
I just pulled that out of somewhere. With the 723 square miles that we have in Yankton County, the only way for us to make it work with the growing list, to Don's point, of services that we're required to provide, is to bring more valuation into the county.
Explain to
Or-
Matt,
or
explain
grow
allowable.
business development.
Or
Right.
grow business.
Explain allowable growth to Matt. The three, the allowable growth, the 3% limit.
On the budget.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's just a state requirement. That's what we can do, right? Sherry? 3%.
So every year,
And then you go to the levy.
so, for example, let's say your taxes are $7 million this year. Next year, the maximum you can go up is CPI or 3%. So if CPI is 8%, you can go up 3 plus your growth. Now, they did a bill recently that limited that capture of growth. That usually doesn't affect Yankton County because we're usually 1, maybe 2% on a good year, 1.5 or so.
But-
So
The truth of the statement is, do we wanna pursue 30, $200,000 properties, or do we wanna pursue one $6 million property? I mean, that's, I think, and what's easiest from a workforce standpoint, if you pursue that $6 million property, or 10, or whatever it is, and they need 80 people, and maybe 40 come from our local workforce and 40 come in, well, now not only did we get that one $6 million property, ideally we got 40 other properties eventually. And so that's kind of the scope of work right now is,
And that's why Thrive concentrated on real estate.
yeah.
The last 3 years.
This is for planning for hopefully the next wave of business growth in Yankton, is the workforce will come and we need to have those spots available. Like I said, if, say we're building whatever, ethanol plant or whatever, and I know that I could have a job in a year when that project's, finished, I'm gonna start looking, I'm gonna start bringing the pieces together, and having some housing availability helps lower the burden, so, the community I moved to from Yankton, Cody, Wyoming, when I moved there, oh man, I almost died. 2019, the cheapest house on the market was $239,000. I was like 25 years old. I'm like, well, I need a place to live. So I bought it. You know, I made a deal, we bought it, right? But you look historically at that community and it wasn't a very nice house for $239,000, just an FYI. But historically, there's 10 residential properties in that community available. Well, that hinders growth. Because again, if there's a job opening, there's not the housing opening, and not only do you have to find the right fit for a candidate to do the job opening, they need to find the right fit for them, which is a home or a place for them to live, right? So, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now is to Don's perspective is we got to take the box we have, the rules the state gives us, and we can kick and scream about those rules all we want. We still have to do it, so that's that. What can we do to chase that $6 million, $10 million property, whatever it is, that would hopefully bring in 30 or 40, 200,000, 500,000, whatever, so that way the county as a whole benefits. We have more value.
You know what the state treasurer told us when we asked that question? What should we be doing?
What?
I don't know, I'm not a commissioner.
Borrow. Well, it was a televised event. Borrow the money, and when you can't borrow it anymore, you're broke.
And to Matt's point, we had a commissioner, I don't know, many years ago that spent a lot of time, what is it, Mark Johnson, is that his name? Spent a lot of time looking at how to develop the lake area, how to square off some of those roads and try and section off, you know, from, what would it be, Timberland Drive, Deer Boulevard over to Timberland Drive, right, Gary? And had that all been able to, you know, if the stars would have lined then, how much more valuation would be out in that area right now? We don't know, obviously. That's the always best thing about looking backwards, not looking forward, right? Like, but.
And I think, and looking at this, we have to look at what is our economic base? What can we do?
Yeah.
We're basically an agriculture county. We have some manufacturers, but we're an agriculture county.
But what about the
Just
30% of our
just-
workforce that works in healthcare?
I don't care about it.
They own houses.
That's the math. You can look at it. We can put a CO2 pipeline in. You know what happens if it doesn't happen? You're gonna see corn at $1.50 or $1.80 a bushel. What's that gonna do to your farmers? Have you looked at the historical record of people that have been killed by a explosion from a CO2 pipeline? I'll tell you what it is, 0. But we won't do nothing because 10 or 12 or 15 people in the county raise hell.
Does the county get revenue from that CO pipeline?
Oh, sure.
After it's installed,
Schools
though?
do, the county would, the schools do.
The county does, okay. I know the school does, but the county does too?
Yeah,
The property use change.
How significant,
it's big.
is it pretty significant? So I think that's the main thing, like, it's kinda like what both of you guys are saying is like, okay, what is going to be, you know, one, good for the community, two, a good level of revenue coming in, you know, $200,000, $300,000 houses are all great and everything, but is that gonna help the county? Not saying that that's a bad thing, maybe you can do both, you know?
We need to tip the scales.
Yeah, enough to move the needle.
Yeah, and we need to figure out what the community will stomach. I mean, at the end of the day, we are here for the community, and we're not here for our personal interests. So, if the community, whether or not I love CO2 pipelines or wind energy or whatever, the community tells me they don't love it and they show up, we are here for them. And so that's the fear is
2%.
That is the fear, is that we have to be smart with what we adapt, and like you said, with some deregulation comes risk. with deregulation comes Lake Okoboji, where houses have 82 feet of shoreline or whatever they have, and they think they're just spoiled with their 82 feet because their neighbor has 52 or whatever. And you know, and I'll bring this up, and I brought it up before. Do we have a hotel in the county?
So I think that goes along the line with sewer, right? Is that
Yeah.
right? Hotels and stuff won't go up. The nice part is, I don't know if this statistic is still right, but Highway 52, last time I heard, was the 7th most traveled highway in South Dakota.
What did you say, Matt?
I heard, this is what, and I'd have to look it up again, but years ago, when I first started my RV parks, like 10 years ago, I was told that Highway 52 was the 7th most traveled highway
Yeah.
in South Dakota. And I know that thing's a freight train coming through. I don't know what there is that would be able to take septics. Like, I think it was, like, was Dollar General a good thing for you guys going out there? Did that help a little?
Everything helps.
Everything helps? So,
You took
like,
you took a home that was valued at probably $350, and you changed it to a valuation of a couple
But
million.
that may be one of the things that a person looks at. We've got wonderful school system.
yeah.
And the new one that they built doesn't exist in maybe one or two other cities in Yankton, or in South Dakota. That should be an attraction to a company. We've got to sell those things that are fantastic.
Yeah. So is the county's main revenue then like property tax out of everything?
Yeah.
Is that the main part of it? And then second is like, you think?
License plates.
License plates?
Yeah.
And then like, what about like sales tax and stuff like
We
that?
don't get sales tax.
You don't get anything?
There's been
They won't let us-
discussion
they won't let us
of
have it.
a half-cent sales tax but the idea has been to reduce property tax. So as far as the
Yeah.
county's concerned, it's a wash,
Yeah. that
and it
makes
hasn't
sense.
passed.
And like I said, typically, part of why it doesn't pass is sales tax, although good, like you said, you have those people who come from outside the county and buy their goods and stuff like that. But if, in Yankton, where we are at with, you know, we do have really low unemployment, but we also have a high low-income population, a sales tax really burdens them. Because right now, they're probably renting. You know, truly, if you are a low-income, you know, 85%, 80%, that's my own math, take it for what it is, they're probably in a rental, so the property tax, although it's burdened to them through their rent, because of course if I have to pay property tax, I figure that out into what you pay, but they're not paying it. But then when you add another additional sales tax, that becomes a burden to that low-income group or demographic. And so then that's always a struggle as well. And then of course, it's very hard to budget with a tax that goes like this, versus with home valuations and property valuations. You have a lot more stability year to year.
Every city in the state, and probably almost everyone in the nation, has done fine with that.
They
They
do.
just do fine with it.
But-
They get a historical record that they budget by, and
Yep. But it's still a concern for every single one when they take a dip.
well, I'll tell you what, there's a concern for
Yeah.
not having any money to pay all employees in Yankton County.
I understand. Cool.
So, can I make a point? There are two things happening here. One of them is urgent. And the urgent problem is that Yankton County had to take $3.5 million out of their reserves in order to balance their budget for the 2026 year.
And it takes our reserves down to
They
almost
do not
nothing.
have another $3.5 million to take out for the following year. That problem is not gonna get solved by any development
Yep.
because it's too urgent.
Takes too long.
It takes too long, and so that problem has to be separated from the
Development.
long term.
Okay.
Now, Sam, I think you said that the county commission, and you can tell me too, Don, did the county commission say that they want to empower a task force to work on development.
I brought that to here, it wasn't because they talked about it, no.
All right,
And I told them that I was gonna bring it to here.
good. All right, so they at least know we're talking about it.
Yes.
It appears to me that we have two problems, separate from the urgent.
That makes sense.
The problem, first of all, is that our elected representatives must establish what the end state should be. They should tell us what the vision is. Where are we going? I've, said before, as a former Air Force pilot, when I release the brakes and I take off in my jet, I have a flight plan, and I know where I'm going. If you take off and you don't have a flight plan, you're going to end up someplace, but it may not be where you want to go. So that's what this development discussion is about. It is not about the urgent issue that the county is facing. I don't know how they're going to solve it. It's going to get ugly.
So I think, sorry, I'll let you.
Well, so what we need to be thinking about is what can we accomplish as a planning commission? You saw us tonight. We started off at 7 o'clock and we finished with our mundane duties at 8 p.m. roughly. And we meet once a month. We are not capable as a body to work our way through the excellent outline that Gary emailed to us. It would take a month of Sundays to do that. Therefore, the county commission must empower a task force to work this issue and to meet regularly on at least a weekly basis, starting sometime in January, to come up with a flight plan. What the commission has to do is they have to give the vision for where they're going. Now let me give you an example of what a vision sounds like. A vision sounds like by 2050, it'll be widely acknowledged that the citizens of Yankton County have the best quality of life in the upper Midwest. That's a vision. And if you work with that type of vision, it eliminates all of the objections that people have to things like data centers, carbon capture pipelines, massive battery storage facilities for wind and solar projects, because the people are rightly concerned about those things. But when you say the vision is that it will be widely acknowledged that citizens of Yankton County have the best quality of life, everybody can get on board with that. Now, what do I mean by quality of life? I mean it's safe and secure. We've got good law enforcement. We have safe roads. Prosperous, plentiful, well-paying jobs. Environmentally sound. Well-trained and educated workers. That includes our schools. Good government. That the people are culturally proud. They're proud to live here. They don't look down on themselves. We're confident, patriotic, faithful, resilient, confident, self-reliant, nuclear families, healthy. We have a lot of assets in this county. In my view, Yankton County is one of the two best places to live in South Dakota, and the other one is Rapid City area. So let's take advantage of who we are. Don made it clear, and we are an agricultural economy primarily. We have a lot of small towns that have emptied out school systems, schools that are either struggling or have closed. We have excellent tourism opportunities here. What percentage of people do you think know that we have a national park right over there?
Not many.
10%, maybe. We don't market ourselves. That's what Don's talking about here.
Mhm.
So that's the type of thing that this task force should work on. Don't worry about the tax revenue. The tax revenue is urgent and it's serious. It's a major, major problem. That's what our commission is gonna have to deal with. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
So when we talked about a task force, we have explored, looking at some key agricultural and city of Yankton people to get their opinion, to sit in and help us look at what's going on. So it's just not
Just
five commissioners.
We need
Exactly.
we
It
just need
should
a
be a task
formal,
force.
we just need a formal command. Two questions for you, and then I do wanna keep progressing, cause this is the first meeting of probably many long meetings. My question is two parts. How easy is it to sell your RV parks to people who RV and talk about that interaction of selling Yankton to them? Cause again, I only probably have one RV and I have 30 communities that all want me to come park my RV there in the summer. I wanna know that conversation, what sells it, how that goes. And then the next conversation is, I wanna know, now you're selling the Yankton Mall. Why Yankton Mall to a retailer, and what sells that conversation? What package, what works? I think that would answer what, Commissioner Welch is looking for.
So, okay, so to tell my story, basically, so 10 years ago, I got into RV parks. 5 years ago, I quit my dad's shop, and went into RV parks full time. I bought the mall 2 years ago. The mall's been empty for 10, 15 years. I filled it up in 2 years, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, you guys. I'm just telling the story. Even with the RV parks, I started with Rikens at 28 sites. I now have 350 sites, and I own 5 different RV parks. There was existing park. It was actually the park that you guys had up there, where you asked if that park had permission. I now own that park over there. That park was doing terrible for a couple years. Basically, they'd have maybe 6 sites filled out of the 100. I bought it, remodeled it, made it better, in my opinion, and we sold it out in 2 months. So I think the biggest point here is, if you're gonna build a committee or whatever you're gonna build, a task force to do this, you can't just have anybody, you guys. You gotta have, like, the county is a business, okay? You got bills and you got money. You need to bring in people who are very good at business and have been doing it for years and doing it on their own, or know how to generate revenue. Like, one of the things that I was always told from my dad is, you either have to raise the bridge or lower the river, okay? So it kind of sounds like, with the urgent part of it, that it's going to be very hard to raise the bridge in time, raise the income in time to make a difference. I don't know how much lowering the river is going to be, because you're getting all these extra things that you have to do from the state.
I want to, because I think I've told these guys, but, there's 66 counties in South Dakota. Only a couple aren't in the same condition that we are.
Yeah.
Only a couple, and some are in the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah. I just think, like, when I look at a project, okay, let's go to the RV park part, right? So, imagine that as the county or whatever. So I looked at it and I said, okay, like, the prices are right that they have here, so that the prices isn't the problem as far as the cost of the site. The look was not good, okay? I think the look of Yankton County is great, especially with the lake and, brand new Highway 52, and we have some development out there, stuff like that. I think if we can create the right environment for what we need on the not urgent part, like for housing that we want, or businesses should be able to take advantage of Highway 52. I know I do. Like with my RV parks, all my RV parks are on Highway 52. They're there for a reason. It's not just because of the lake, it's because of the traffic over there. When they drive by and they see everything that I have, they stop and they look. So if the county can take advantage of that also, I think that's a big deal. Going to the mall, I think it goes back to the team part on who's part of the committee or the task force. My team for the mall is the best that I could pick, okay? You also need to look at affordability though too, right? When, whether it's the lawyers or the brokers or whoever else, like, it's not just about paying the best because they cost the most, right? It's about knowing people and, I know almost everybody in this room here, so if I have an issue on the county that I need to address, I can ask you. Say the mall was in the county or whatever. Same thing with the city. My mom worked at the city for, 10, 11 years, something like that. So I know everybody at the city. And it's just using everybody's knowledge and being able to reach out. I don't care if there's, say you have 20 people and you bring in one extra person, that one extra person is not going to hurt. They might have an idea that nobody else has. So I really think even with the task force, having a bigger task force is going to help. Yeah, it's going to be hard to find good people and people, to do it, to take the time. I do agree with the once a week deal, whatever. You can't do it at once a month, and that's for development and the urgency part of it. Like, it's hard to do that, I think. But you have to have people experienced in development, people who have the connections to bring, say, whether it is energy places or a factory or stores even, putting a small strip mall out there. Even talking to my broker and I tell him that Dollar General's out there, it's like, last I knew they were shrinking and getting rid of stores, and all of a sudden that pops up. So they did calculations, I'm sure, on the traffic.
And I would love to have Ryan Tisdale here, because, he was explicitly talking to those big three that you brought in.
Yep.
Potentially some more. I'm praying you make the announcement soon.
You, me too.
Yeah, anyway, because with that same logic is, what sold them on Yankton? Was it because, again, regionally, South Dakota always has low unemployment, like, I get it. Was it because of our, population and where their medium income is? Was it how do we capitalize on that group of what was, because like he kept saying, Mitchell would die for this, Spencer, Iowa would die for this.
And they had them too.
Yeah.
So, my opinion, it comes down to the people. It comes down to me, Ryan, my lawyer, even my employees. Like, for instance, we got numbers back on construction, and we're like, this isn't gonna work. Like, there's no way. Like, the rent doesn't pay the bills. There's no way. So it's like, okay, raise the bridge or lower the river, figure it out. Every problem that came up, it was like, okay, everybody, we're not here to say what's not gonna work, we're here to say what's gonna work. So it's like, okay, can we do this? Can my team of 4 people do 260,000 square feet of demo in 6 months? Let's go for it, let's try.
You did though.
And we did it, and that was just 4 people. And we saved a lot of money, which made it work, okay? There's sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do. you know, whether it is trying to raise the bridge a little bit and lower the river a little bit, just to get you by for another year until you figure out later, basically. Like, you know, sometimes we'd even go into the deals not even knowing the whole story. Like, you know, with the mall, it's existing, right? There's a lot of stuff that pops up that you don't know about, like asbestos in that entire place. Like, okay, now where are we gonna get the money for this? And it's like adapt, and you have to keep an open mind. That's how I do my things. That's how we made the sales. That's how I make the sales at the RV parks. That's how I get the jobs done, is keeping an open mind and saying, okay, like, we're gonna figure this out. And I reach out to everybody I know, and it can be the littlest thing. The littlest person can make the biggest difference. You know, even somebody come up and shaking my hand out there after I read Facebook comments or whatever, somebody shaking my hand when I'm ready to give up, that person who shook my hand got me through the next day. Like, all of that little stuff, you guys, I really think it's the committee. The committee is going to be crucial to have the right people who know a lot of people, who know a lot about budget, who know how to save money and make money.
I think you bring up
Man.
a really good point of maybe we need to have two separate requests, like Commissioner Welch was bringing up. Maybe we need to have an urgency budget task force that, you know, maybe is a little more tactical with bootstrapping and what we can do, like you said, to lower some water or tread some water or whatever that looks like. And then the second task force is how do we build a sustainable future for Yankton County? And
that would be people like in development, people who,
Yep.
like, you know what, the city, Westbrook over there, the city did something over there. I don't know exactly what, but didn't they like team up with a developer over there or something?
we can have a representative paint that picture
Yeah.
here a little bit.
Yeah, but you know that was a big deal there. So if you know people who are good at development, and you know, maybe there's somebody who's got some land to develop, and you just have that cooking on the side until you figure out whatever. I get it. It's not part of the urgency, but it's part of like your 20-year plan or whatever, basically, to say, okay, if we start this over here and it looks like this, we're gonna look better.
When you're not
Okay,
the
so
subject.
I'd like to interject something here. There's a lot of good ideas coming here, especially some of the stuff you're saying, Matt. But they are two very defined, different problems.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no question about that. And my opinion, just from what I've seen, you get a task force and they work their butts off and they come up with good ideas, and then nothing happens. There's no follow through. So part of what we gotta decide is, why isn't there follow through? What happened? Where did these ideas flop? And basically, it's because people aren't willing to stick their neck out and take the risk. You know, so somebody's gotta be part of that task force that's gonna be able to say, I'll take the risk. You know, that has to be part of the whole process of the solution.
So
Right.
one of the things that was brought up to me when I was developing, they, like the bank come up to me and they said, Matt, how do you see this failing? Because I went to a lot of banks and everybody looks at this mall and they're like, oh my God, like, what's this guy thinking? He's crazy, right? So the thing is, they asked me what I saw or how I would fail, basically. And I said, if somebody else gets control of what I have to do, and tells me what I have to do, and then I have to listen to them. So going to your point, if you don't have somebody on that committee or somebody committed to sticking their neck out and getting it done, there's no point. Right. You need somebody, here again, not to toot my own horn, like me, or say a commissioner or whoever else that is going to be at those meetings and say, okay, I'm going to spearhead this thing, and we're going to listen to this, and we're going to get this done. And they, no matter what, they have to go after it every single time. Yeah. Like, there's no way you can do it without risk.
I think the task force failures that Tim is discussing, and this is the really so hard, right? Like, we have to find the right composition of the team that can get the work done. While finding the right composition of the team, we got to find the right demographics to be represented. So then that way, whether the product adversely affects the egg community, and we need a representative from the egg community that they trust, they buy in with, they are part of the discussion. They go back to the egg community and they say, hey, this is actually going to be a good thing. Might not be today, but it will be down the road. Or if it's the business community, whatever's coming may adversely affect the business community. So not only are we talking, which I think this is an awesome point that you brought up, and you to second it, is we need to have the right composition of doers and thinkers and ideas people, but we also need to make sure that each demographic is represented. So then that way, that conversation is going back to those stakeholders, and because that's what we have found with the other task force, that whether they failed or were successful, I suppose, is up to you, right? So we'll just use the wind energy one. There was a wind energy development that wanted to come to our county and another county, and task force met, task force heard. We decided to do what we did with our ordinance based on that task force. That failed the wind developer, but that succeeded for the community members, right? And so we just got to make sure that how this progresses, we got the doers, we got the thinkers, but we also have people who, like you said, can unwaveringly go back to the demographic and say, we need this because, and I know Commissioner Clark brought this up like last month, like, man, I had no idea the county was in financial jeopardy, right? I wonder how many people out of the people in our county know how grave the situation is. Like, this is, like Don said, just keep going to banks, but you know how that works when you go to banks.
That's actually not a bad idea. So
buy us some time.
So that's not necessarily true to either. So, I mean, it does buy you time. So let me teach you about a strategy that I do for rentals. Okay, it's called the BRRRR strategy. You buy it, you renovate it, you rent it out, then you refinance it. Okay, so by doing that, you create equity. Okay, so if I buy a house for $175 and I renovate it and I do it myself, it's now worth $250. Say I put 20 into it, but it's now worth $250. That brings equity to it. Okay. And then I take that equity and I go buy another house. Right. I pull the money from my loan, I bring equity, and then I go buy another house with it. So by the time you're done, say you buy $5 million in houses, you have $10 million in equity by the time you're done. And what you do is you leverage everything. Do not ever use cash. Always loan. And the reason why you do that is because, say there's a person with $100,000 over here, and he goes and buys one $100,000 house with $100,000. Me, I'm going to take that and I'm going to split it into 5. Okay, you need 20% down normally on a house, so $20,000 times 5 is $100,000. If this guy rents out his house, he's making $1,000 a month. Okay, this guy over here has 5 houses. Okay, since he has 5, he's making, for the same exact house, $5,000 a month for 5 houses. But he has a mortgage, but his mortgage is only like $2,500, something like that. So he's making $2,500 per month. So in 10 months or 8 months, he can buy another house. This guy over here who bought it all cash has $1,000 a month that he's netting. Okay, he can't buy another house. It'd be for 20 months, so almost 2 years. Leverage everything. Leverage is not bad, you guys. It's not. If you can take that money, you just need to take the money that you do get and put it into something that generates more money.
There's a statute against that for the county. So truly, so from a business perspective, that's where private and public really end up having a dividing line, because like I said, I used to work at a school district. We had a $33 million budget, and there are so many statutes that say you can't do this, you can't charge that for this, you can't do this. Your carryover can be this much of your budget. So if you're successful one year with really managing your budget, you actually get penalized for the next year because you did such a good job managing your budget. And so, unfortunately, and I don't want to go into the discussion of government inefficiency or anything, because I do have a couple people I want to bring up, that's where sometimes this happens. So, yeah, years ago when we were putting money into reserve fund, God, it would have been nice if we were able to buy stocks with it, or we were able to buy property, like you said, to use
So
for
the county
future.
can't buy property like the city?
I think there's a couple means, Gary, you can kind of get me if I'm wrong. There's a couple means to it, but we cannot successfully become a development agency.
No.
And there's a lot of risk to it. So like what happens in Wyoming, Sheridan, Wyoming is a good example. They did what the city did with Garden Estates, but they did it without the third party partner, the pass through. And now they are stuck with a whole bunch of properties that are yet to be developed. They actually ended up losing a whole bunch of tax money. There's a whole bunch to it. Now they're stuck with that risk. They're stuck with that. But yes, the county can't physically start making money. We can't start overcharging for certain goods and services and means of which we have. And so that's where truly for us, and from a community standpoint, I'm going to speak for everyone in Yankton County right now. If the day comes where the commissioners do vote to go to a bank for operating expenses, there won't be enough room in this area to host a meeting because of the risk associated with that, and even just the reputation killer that is for a county. What Clay County did, Gary, again, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they just raise their assessed value for 1 year to buy themselves time? So and I don't know how that process looks, but Clay County is in the same boat we are in. Mind you, their largest property holder is an institution, the state of South Dakota, and so that really adversely affects them. We have a large property holder in the city, federal prison camp. We have a large property holder. We have a whole bunch of them, right? And so they raised it to buy themselves some time. So I think that's where this budget task force gets in. They need to start working, because if that's something we have to do to get through 2027, well, the fruits of our labor on development are starting to roll and kind of churn. That might be just what we have to do. I mean, and that's where we talk about those stakeholders from every demographic. You tell the farmers, hey, your taxes are gonna go up for a little bit or whatever, like your assessed values or whatever, we're gonna do it for short term. We need to have somebody who can go to them and say, this is dire.
Yeah.
We don't want the Dan Clark effect of, what, the county's broke? Like, we want them to really know that without this measure, this stopgap to like stop the bleeding, there is a lot that will disappear, and a county Yankton size, 80% of our budget is salary and wages, benefits, and a lot of those positions we are required by law to have this person or that person, so then that's where, again, I love the raise the bridge, lower the river. I think that's awesome. I'm definitely going to use that again, just so you know, Matt. But I think that's where governments, it just is so different.
That's fine. Is there another county that has been through this and pulled through at all that you guys know of? Have you
They're all in the same condition right now.
They are?
Except for one or two.
Yeah.
Three.
Two big ones.
Yeah. Well, Lincoln's got their in the ringer. Yeah. But they get when they come out with COVID funds, how do you divide it up in the state? Half goes there, half goes here. Well, we'll give a sprinkling to the rest.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest we do, because we can talk about this for another 24 hours.
Please don't.
I'd suggest that we agree that, we should put a task force together to do two things. One, to attack budget shortages, and two, to look at what we need to do to strategize to get our culture
Ready.
right to go ahead with business development.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
It should be by invitation. In other words, people that know what they're talking about.
Exactly. And
And
honestly,
people
guys,
who are,
like,
and to Tim's point, people who can take action, they know how to take action, they've done it before.
that have a
And
resume.
it should not be something where we advertise in the newspaper and people just show up.
Yeah,
Do you agree with that, Don?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. I think resumes is just like hiring a job. Like, I think they're
One
what
of
they've
our
done.
big partners on this whole deal is sitting right behind you.
Yeah.
She's gonna come take her 5 minutes at the mic here in a second. But cool, I do appreciate it. I think
Thanks,
you
guys.
got,
Thanks, Matt.
you took us from just an idea to now we're in the funnel.
Thank you.
Of what we're doing, so. Any further community comment? Oh, yay.
Nancy Winandy, representing Yankton Thrive, and I'll try and keep it to 5 minutes, not 50 for you. I didn't come with any prepared comments, but I was making myself notes as different topics were brought up, so if my comments seem a bit scattered, it's as I was listening to what was happening and just making notes. So I want to talk about data centers. I agree with you. It could be a really, really big deal for Yankton for us to get one, and I'll tell you, we've already had one take a look at us. And as much as we would like to plan where they're gonna go, the utility companies will tell us where they can get power to. And those companies, the data centers, whether they're Bitcoin or AI, are gonna tell us, I need to be here, I need to be out of the flood zone, I need to be on paved roads. They're gonna have a list of parameters that have to be met because they can go somewhere else. But it all hinges around the utility company and how much power they can get them and in what area. So from a planning perspective, that's what that all comes down to.
Nancy, is there, the minimum size for an AI center or Bitcoin, minimum, the smallest ones are 200 acres. They average around 600 to 700 acres.
There's
Do we-
different sizes.
There
So,
are.
yeah, so
But do we
there's,
have an area that could have the infrastructure, maybe not even the layout or the terrain, but just simply the infrastructure? Is there anywhere close by that's that size?
we have parcels that could meet the parameters of what they're looking for. The one that was taking a look at us was not needing that size of acreage. They do come in different, depending upon the type of data center, and this is part of my other comments, I would ask for us to bring in someone to educate the community, the task force, whomever that might be, on the variety of data centers. I don't want to get too deep into that being the conversation here, but a lot of ones can be set up like in Ellendale, North Dakota. It's basically like hog barns. They're just row buildings set up all beside each other. And what's the biggest issue for the quote-unquote neighbors? The fans. There's just some noise, a whirring noise that's continual in the area. So they want large acreages so no one can hear anything there.
No smell.
There's no smell. It does not smell like a CAFO, correct. So that's one of the things that we just want to be aware of. And for those people who don't know, Yankton Thrive already owns a data center. We own the Midco data center that is on the corner of 21st and West City Limits Road. That building on the corner there by Day and Zimmerman and L&M Radiator is a data center. So we've had one here for a number of years that was built through an EDA grant years ago, and so Thrive still owns that, I believe, for another 2 years, and then that will be turned over to Midco because we will have met our 20-year commitment on that. So I'd like to say we have experience, but that's nothing in comparison to the big dogs that we'd really like to get here in the county, or I would expect that we would like to have. So as we keep talking about the county revenue, for me, It's diversification of the revenue. You know, when Matt talks about how do you make things happen, you want to have different revenue streams coming in. Our school districts, what are their diversified revenue streams? They have federal and state dollars and property tax. The city, diversified revenue. They have utilities, they have a sales tax, and they also get part of the property tax. The county, property tax, and a little bit in fees. So the county, and that's why I think our state government is flawed in doing us a disservice by not allowing the counties to have a diversified revenue source. I personally am a fan of having a county sales tax. I think that we should be having those tourists that come into our community help offset the property tax that we all pay. Yes, there is a little bit of a burden that does get shared with everybody depending upon your expenditures. And I do think there's ways to alleviate a county sales tax when it comes to ag. I think that the implement and seed and a lot of those things that tourists would not be participating in should be exempt from that county tax. But it really comes down to local control. And how do we get local control for things like that? We are active at the state legislature and we get involved and we talk about what do we need here to make our county successful. Not every county will want a sales tax, but to have the local control to implement it if we want to and we think it will help solve our problems could be a part of the solution. Enough on that. I want to talk about infrastructure because I think a lot of what does hold the county back from development at the lake is a lot of things you've already talked about. It's sewer. The water is there, the electric is there. We don't have a sewer, and that's what's holding back a large-scale development from coming out there. And how do we get the sewer district? Good question. It's been talked about and talked about and talked about.
Come up with $100 million.
But are we gonna just sit and wait, or are we gonna try and put a plan together to do something about it? We can't implement it right now, but without a proper plan,
Right.
it'll never happen.
Lancy, you would know better than anyone. So let's say, for example, that a large outdoor themed resort wanted to come to Yankton County, just as an example, and that they wanted to locate themselves someplace down there by Sisters Grove. Just let's say that they wanted to do that. If they did, there would be a projected tax revenue from that development. Could that projected tax revenue be bonded for in order to pay for sanitary sewer in the area? In other words, you take a 20-year window, go out, anticipate the revenues, sell bonds so that you get the money up front, and then pay off the bonds with the tax revenue from the new development. Is that a possibility?
I do not know. So
That's
you
what I
thinking
thought.
I might be the person who could know that answer. From the county's perspective, I do not know what your bonding capacity is. I would say to me that sounds like a TIF that would go into place. So you would have the development. If you want that tax revenue to pay for the infrastructure, that's what TIFs do.
Right.
They're set up to pay for the infrastructure to get that long-term development to happen.
That's
So
what we
whether
did.
you could bond it,
Right.
I don't know that
That's
answer.
what we did in Sioux
Whoa.
City. We put in a 1/2-cent sales tax and then bonded for it and built all new schools within 5 years.
20
And so-
years later.
Well, and it might take 20 years to pay off the cost of that infrastructure. It might take that long. And that's where, to me, TIFs are a part of the long-term gratification. Development won't happen in a lot of areas without having a way to finance that. And having tools in our toolbox, infrastructure, is important, whether it be the city or the county. For our small communities, infrastructure matters. and someone has to pay for it. And who's that someone? The taxpayers. And how are the taxpayers going to pay that? That's the question. But we all want it. We all need it. We want better roads. We want better bridges. And the county needs to figure out, where does that money come from? And that's the multi-million-dollar question.
It's really the state.
Not necessarily.
It is the state that's limiting us from doing these things.
Correct.
Is it not?
Well, that's where local control comes into play, because there are certain things we might want to do that we're not allowed to do by state law. But with the tax dollars that we have, how they get allocated are under the control of the county commission. And there are things they are mandated to do, absolutely. But do we have to have as nice of things as we have? No, we don't. If the county commission needs to cut, it's gonna hurt. And it's gonna look bad, and we're gonna have a lot of long lines out here because we're not gonna have as many staff. And that's what I think is potentially going to go south for the county, is we have really good staff. But if you're not able to pay them and keep up with the wages and the benefits, you're going to lose them. So that's why I consider this is a problem for all of us. It's not just a county commissioner problem. It is everyone in the county. It's all of our problems.
Well, part of the problem here, Nancy, is that nobody knows it.
Well, it's not that they haven't been talking about it, because I hear about it.
They have been talking about it. There have even been articles in the newspaper about it, but nobody around here reads the newspaper. And if the newspaper does publish it, it's obscure. It's not clear what the problem is. They've published articles where they don't actually identify the problem until the last paragraph.
Okay. Somebody who's a genius, and you can do some math real quick with a computer if you got it. Anybody have one?
I got a calculator on my phone.
Okay.
Crazy thing.
We have, I believe, in county valuation, you remember the exact amount or almost the exact amount?
Not off the top.
It's in the billions.
Yeah.
1 point something billion.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's what you got to work with.
Right.
Does you make the pie bigger? But let's keep on rolling on this. She has some.
I know my 5 minutes is gone.
She's
It's
flowing,
long
Don.
gone.
Let's let her keep flowing here.
So as we
Yeah,
talk
you're right.
about what you want the county to do for a long-term plan, we have to look realistically at our restrictions. Flood zone, the floodplain in East Yankton is a true restriction to types of development that we would traditionally like to have. That is, we own a bunch, as Thrive, own a bunch of industrial land out there that's in flood zone. So it does make it more difficult to develop. Not impossible, just more difficult. Obviously to the south, we have the river. To the north, the topography makes it more difficult if you are going to extend sewer out there to do any type of large-scale development. So really that leaves us the west, which is lacking sewer as well. But to the essentially the northwest, you do have some flatter areas where there could be some larger scale development out there that could be good for industrial, commercial, or residential. And that goes back to the question of what type of development does the county even want? Several things have been mentioned today that have been poo-pooed, like, oh, we don't want that in Yankton, we don't want that in Yankton. We need to figure out what we do want, what can we get behind, and then go get it. Rather than a new project comes in, a lot of people like it, some people don't, it becomes a big controversy, and then it goes away. So we just have to figure out what can we get behind. And we want to keep in mind economic development really hinges around bringing in primary jobs, which is outside revenue coming into our community. As you mentioned, Sam, growing the pie. A lot of the great things that are happening in Yankton right now, it's community development. A lot of what we talked about is growing our community, creating that quality of life. But economic development is when we're bringing those outside dollars in for those primary jobs so we can grow the workforce with good wages and good benefits for those jobs. So as Don mentioned, We want to talk about how does ag fit into all of this. If we're talking about utilizing our ag land for commercial or industrial purposes, what does that look like? We want to have that be a part of the conversation. We want to talk about growth in housing. As was mentioned, we want to have good partners. Thrive has been a good partner in housing. We did Westbrook Estates. We sold off what would be Westbrook 2 to Kelly Nielsen. He's the one who's doing that development. We're now doing garden estates. So we have 89 lots out there for development for single family homes. And that's only on 28 acres of the entire 80 acre parcel that we have for development. Thrive has positioned ourselves to help with the housing situation for decades to come. I'd like to think it was much shorter, that we could burn through 80 acres of land for housing, and that would be a win for the community if we could do it. But we're here for the long game for economic development, for solving that housing problem. We'll take it one piece at a time, one phase at a time, and do what we can. But we've seen a lot of other great housing development, both in the county and within the city. So we want to keep that momentum rolling. We also want to talk about, do we want industrial development? Do we want other large facilities here? Or, one of the things that Thrive has been focusing on, how do we get our existing facilities to continue to expand? They have made great commitments to our community. They have been loyal to the Yankton community. So just like Manitou's expansion, how do we help these other facilities continue to grow? Because recruiting new ones in is way harder than helping the existing ones grow. We also want to take a look at our surrounding communities. Nick, I know you're from a surrounding community here. You don't live directly within the city of Yankton. What are we as a county doing to help those communities succeed? How are we helping them plan for infrastructure? What do those partnerships and collaborations look like? Because I think those are an important component of the growth that we could see here in Yankton. I also want to talk about, none of us are in a bubble. The county would like to think this is only your problem, we're going to try and fix it, or the city, or the school district, but no. The ecosystem in Yankton, in all communities, if you want to do things right and do things well, you have to work together. It can't be the county's against the city for this, or the school district doesn't like this, whatever it might be. That cannot happen. That should not happen. We all need to be on the same page so we can all succeed together. And then just finally, I want to talk about the cultural diversity here in Yankton. With Simple's closing, the Simple's closure had a huge impact on the economy. If you read the paper, you'll see that our sales tax numbers are down. And that's because we have several hundred fewer families living here in Yankton. Fewer families paying rent or owning homes, shopping in the community, eating out in the community. We have lost a lot of revenue, and by having Simple's closed, we also lost for the city the revenue for the water and the wastewater and all those other utility fees that go along with having a major manufacturer there. So that has had a huge impact. Some of those families left, but some of those families wanted to stay in Yankton because they felt welcome. They love our community. I even know of some who moved to Missouri and then chose to move back because our community treats people well. We treat them with dignity and respect. And I want us to continue as a community to remind ourselves and everyone around that it's important that we continue to be open to the diversity, because that is what is helping our ag community, that is what helping our industry, they're helping in healthcare. There's a lot of jobs that are filled by people who might not look the same as all of us sitting here in this room today. So with that, I just want to remind you, we are in this for the long game. Thrive is here. We are here to help. If you would ask me to serve on the task force, I'd be willing to do so. But I just want to, as you were mentioning, let's know what we're trying to solve when we go into this meeting, so we don't have 2-hour-long conversations and really achieve nothing.
Nancy, do you know if high-speed internet is available everywhere in Yankton County?
It is not.
Where is it not?
Well, I can send you a broadband map, but Santel Communications right now is the most recent company that received a major broadband grant, and they are working to fill some gaps between Yankton and Vermillion, and then north of Highway 50, and I don't know what the north line is that they go to, but they came in to fill in some of the territory that Midco hadn't filled in already. And how high of speed they're providing in that, I don't know that number, but they are the most, the newest company into the neighborhood who is trying to fill those gaps. Because I was on some broadband meetings, and I was blown away by how empty there were regions between Yankton and Vermillion when they're trying to fill the broadband gaps out in the Black Hills, where they're talking about boring through the Grand and all the issues they're having. Like, what's the issue between Yankton and Vermillion? And when I asked that question, they said, we just haven't had a provider who would come forward to provide the service, which was a super big disappointment, but I'm glad Santel is doing that.
I'll come by your office and get a copy of that if you don't
I can
mind.
email it to you if you'd like.
That'd be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do
And
that.
Don, do you think we need one task force or two?
I think two.
I think two also.
I agree.
They're gonna have different cadence as well. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Yeah.
budget one needs to be able to prepare a recommendation on what the stopgap is for 2027. I mean, you guys vote budget into effect in what, October?
No, but the budget starts,
Well, when
we
is,
start planning in June.
when's the final deadline for an approved budget? September, okay.
End of September.
So the point is they have to be making recommendations by June or July. Development
Yeah.
can work at a separate cadence,
Right.
so, cool. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
I have one more in the audience.
One other thing that I'd add, we have to convince may not be the right word, the county commissioners that they need to listen to what we come up with.
Absolutely. That's why I think we need them to commission these task forces to do the work and to make a commitment that they will at least vote on it.
Well, and I
You'll
think,
never convince them if it's not valuable information. If it's valuable information, they'll automatically listen. You can't convince somebody, in my opinion, to listen to you just because you're trying to do something.
No.
We have to have something concrete that you can present.
people don't run for elected office to see it fail, so.
Right.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, because of the dire situation, again, when we have good spokesperson, we have good work product, and I would like to, once we get these commissioned, I'd like to make sure we're using all tools available. You know, where I work, we use SharePoint, and where I worked previously, everything was on a Google Drive, and I'm working to build a bike park for some kids in Yankton, and that's on a Google Drive because it's an easy platform that gets information out. We just want to make sure we're using all resources available to get value-added information to those in need. And that's, like I said, that's a team composition, some spokesperson, and some really good sharing and transparency. So
I think it's critical, and it's absolutely critical, that the Yankton County Commission take a vote to commission these task forces, because I've worked this before, and if the top people don't buy in, if they're not committed, I don't mean just saying, okay, yeah, go ahead and do it. I mean, they are committed to state that this is an important thing to do and we will seriously consider it and work with you on it. If they're not willing to do that, it will not be successful.
Well,
They
whether,
have to-
whether
they-
there was a budget issue or not, isn't it just plain and simple a good idea? It's
Well, of
called
course it is.
strategic planning.
Well, the budget part,
I get the short-term emergency, but you're talking about the lake, it's just like the sewer.
right,
That lake area is never gonna grow to its potential without that main getting pumped to the treatment plant.
right.
That needs to be solved.
they're gonna meet again very shortly. And they should be willing to put this on their agenda and vote on it, to commission 2 task forces, 1 short term for the budget emergency and 1 longer term for development.
A directive.
If they're not
from
willing to do
commissioners.
that, we're wasting our time.
Yep. And so, we have one more public comment. Do you want to speak, or?
No, what it sounds like to me from here is you all want top people. I'm not a top person, I'm just a citizen of Yankton County. Been out of here 40-some years, that's how long I've been married. The guy that, my father-in-law worked for the telephone company when it was big around.
You want to come up to the
Come on
mic?
up.
No,
In all seriousness, you're a constituent. We serve you, so I do want to know what you say, and I'd like it to be recorded.
all I ever hear is how you want all these big businesses to come in here and develop. You don't have the population for it. You're not Sioux Falls. You're not. You're trying to become Sioux Falls. I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna have a nuclear place out behind my house.
We
Am I
ne-
wrong?
We need your input.
Yeah.
Like Matt said, that's an important point you're making, and it's not something we should
All I hear
dismiss.
is how you want all top people.
No.
I'm not a top person. We're retired military. I moved out there because of the way it is out there.
Right.
Farmers coming up, I hear tractors every day. Doesn't bother me. You get other people that move out there, they start complaining about the state. They start complaining about the noise. It is bullshit. You live out there, you know what is going on out there.
And that's where we need a spokesperson
I'm
or a
not
stake.
sure.
That's fine. I'm just telling you, we represent a very varied demographic. Nancy brought up people who are first-time citizens of the U.S. Long-time agriculture, generations, legacies. People are passing things down. You got smucks like me who moved back here from Wyoming, right? Like, we need everyone's voice in the room because this is everyone's county. So I do appreciate you sitting through a 2.5 hour long meeting. We do
No,
appreciate
I'm
what you said.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
I do appreciate what you said though, because that's exactly what I brought up is when we brought something up in the Egg District, people move out there for quiet, for peace, for whatever reason. And their reasons are all unique, and we need to hear those so that way we can make sure whatever it is a good fit.
It is unique. It is not quiet.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. With the wind energy, we did that where it was, this is what a turbine makes, and this is what a Jake brake on a semi makes, and people are like, well, I like the sound of a Jake brake, but I don't like the sound of that. And we said,
I've been hearing
okay.
that.
Yeah. So, anyway.
So I don't mind the tractors.
Yeah.
That's what I bought into. I'm not a farmer. I'm a landowner.
Yeah.
The only thing I hate is when the county round up 294. I am under dust for what has it been, 5 years, 6 years, something like that. I try to keep my place neat. If you ever went down 294, in between 444 and 448, mine's the White House, I try to keep it clean. Great job when it was paved. Holy crap. Try to do it now.
Yeah. And that's part of this plan too is, as to Thrive's point is a lot of these developments and even a lot of the CAFOs we've had recently and stuff like that, they want to be as close to a paved road as possible. And when we start getting rid of paved roads, now all of a sudden we slow development and my homestead, my family where they live, they were affected. They ground the road going out of Utica, and now my dad's all PO'd because he has an old car. He doesn't want to drive on the gravel road, and now he does. Yeah, he doesn't want to buy a new Goldwing because he doesn't want to drop it. So I hear you. So cool. Well, we got public comment. Any last things from the commission? I don't think we need to take a motion, but I believe the recommendation, Don, for you is We want to be commissioned to create two
I'll-
task force.
I'll go to the, it'll be on the agenda for the next county commission meeting, and, I'll, try to get a mechanism for selection, process of selection of people on each one.
Perfect. I think that's good. I think it was a successful meeting, so. If that's all, folks, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Loest.
Roll call.
Oh, you don't
We
need.
can do all in favor. Sorry, I forget.
Aye.
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 Again, a routine, everyone. Thank you, everyone who came from the public.
Thank you for
Yeah.
letting me learn.
I think next time will be more. Dr. Kendall wanted to be here, he couldn't. Brad Beast wanted to be here, he couldn't. So I think next time there'll be a few more. So,
That's what we need.
yep. Now I can sign my name. Approximately 48 times or whatever the bad case.